वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशव विष्णु भक्ति देवी सत्यापै नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशव विष्णु भक्ति देवी सत्यापै नमः। वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशव विष्णु भक्ति देवी सत्यापै नमः। वंदे देवी तुलसी महाराज की। जय गौरानिका जय गौरानिका
Sit down.
Call Vijay. Krishna.
करताल प्रभु करताल हरे कृष्ण We'll start with the Kirtana, short Kirtana. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari Yashodhanandana Vrajana Sandana Yashodhanandana Vrajana Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe, Jaya Jagannath Baladev Subhadramaya Sudarshana Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Gurudev, Harinam Sankirtanam. Hare Krishna. So there's a lot of disturbance. So you have to pay double attention. So today we are discussing 9.14. So first of all, I'd like to welcome all of wonderful devotees who are assembled to understand this divine message of the Supreme Lord that He has so mercifully given to all of us so that we can escape the intense miseries of this world and find a permanent solution. Right? So now let's discuss.
If you don't watch Kannada, we'll have class upstairs.
Okay. ಯಾರಿಗಾರು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಅನುವಾದ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಅದು ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು. Okay, so we'll recite the shloka. Please repeat after me. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Yatantascha kridavrataha. Yatantascha kridavrataha. Namasyantascha mam bhaktya. Namasyantascha mam bhaktya. Nityayukta upasate. Nityayukta upasate. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Yatantascha kridavrataha. Namasyantascha mam bhaktya. Nityayukta upasate. Prabhus.
Satatam kirtayanto mam.
Satatam kirtayanto mam.
Yatantascha
Yatantascha
mam bhaktya.
Namasyantascha mam bhaktya.
Nityayukta upasate.
Nityayukta upasate.
Satatam kirtayanto mam.
Satatam kirtayanto mam. Yatantascha kridavrataha.
Bhaktya.
Namasyantascha mam bhaktya.
Nityayukta upasate.
Nityayukta upasate.
Satatam kirtayanto mam.
Satatam kirtayanto mam.
Yatantascha kridavrataha.
Namasyantascha mam bhaktya. Nityayukta upasate.
Satatam kirtayanto mam.
Satatam kirtayanto mam.
Yatantascha kridavrataha.
Yatantascha kridavrataha.
Namasyantascha mam bhaktya.
Namasyantascha mam bhaktya.
Nityayukta upasate.
Nityayukta upasate.
Word meaning. Please repeat. Satatam. Always. Kirtayantaha. Chanting. Mam. About me. Yatantaha. Fully endeavoring. Cha. also Dridabrataha, with determination, Namasyantaha, offering obeisances, Cha, and Mam, me, Bhaktya, in devotion, Nitya Yuktaha, perpetually engaged, Upasate, worship. Translation by Divine Abhayam Marvila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Always chanting my glories, always chanting my glories, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Thank you. I'll read it again. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. Purport by His Divine Grace Abhayam Marvila. The Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping an ordinary man. His symptoms are described here. A Mahatma is always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead. He has no other business. He is always engaged in the glorification of the Lord. In other words, he is not an impersonalist. When the question of glorification is there, one has to glorify the Supreme Lord, praising His holy name, His eternal form, His transcendental qualities, and His uncommon pastimes. One has to glorify all these things. Therefore, a Mahatma is attached to the Supreme Personality of God. One who is attached to the impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Brahma Jyoti, he is not described as Mahatma in the Bhagavad Gita. He is described in a different way in the next verse. The Mahatma is always engaged in different activities of devotional service as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing and chanting about Vishnu, not a demigod or human being. That is devotion, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu and Smaranam, remembering Him. Such a Mahatma has full firm determination to achieve at the ultimate end the association of the Supreme Lord in any one of the 5 transcendental pasas. To achieve that success, he engages all activities, mental, bodily, and vocal, everything, in the service of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. That is called full Krishna consciousness. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi, and on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by the great Acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatmas, great souls, strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired result. As described in the second verse of this chapter, not only is this devotional service easy, but it can be performed in a happy mode. One does not need to undergo any severe penance and austerity. He can live his life in devotional service, guided by an expert spiritual master, and in any position, either as a householder or a sannyasi or a brahmachari. In any position and anywhere in the world, he can perform this devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and thus become actually Mahatma, the great soul. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mangalacharan. Om Adnanatinirandasya Ananjanashalakaya Chakshuramanetamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manomishtam Smahitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayi Dati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamadam Shri Guru Vaishnavascha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Rajnanam Sajivam Sarvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanitamscha He Krishna Kaduna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Stupe Tapta Kanchana Gaurani Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Hari Vishavana Stupe Nehi Namami Hariye Santa Kalpata Rujekta Vipa Sindhu Yakivacha Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachani Nirvishesha Punyavani Pasavya Vishakarani Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauravata Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's been a long time. I've given a actual class in front of all the exalted Vaishnavas. So kindly forgive me for all the mistakes I'm going to make. I know I'm going to make a lot of mistakes. And I also would like to beg the blessings and permission of all the assembled Vaishnavas so that I can speak something today. So last week also we discussed about Mahatma, right? So last week, wonderful class by Aparajit Prabhu, where he discussed that Krishna basically defines who is a Mahatma, right? So 9.13 and today's verse 9.14, both are a continuous description of Mahatma. So now, and they're describing a soul who is fully dedicated to serving the Supreme Lord. And but there is a certain difference. So in 9.13, right, Mahatma Anastu Mahatma, Daivim Prakriti Moshita, Ajanti Ananya Manamo, Dato Bhutavajin Abhyayam. So Krishna is describing what is the internal characteristic of a Mahatma, right? He is defining what is the conception of such an advanced devotee, and also that he is situated in the divine energy always, and he accepts Krishna as the only reality, the supreme reality. Now coming to today's verse, now when someone has such a concept that is fully dedicated to the Lord, and he firm belief, right, in this. So the 9th chapter begins, 3rd shloka. Krishna says that if you don't have faith, you cannot attain me, right? Ashraddha Dhanascha. So Krishna says, if you don't have that Shraddha, faith, you cannot attain me, you cannot understand me. But here is the opposite. The one who has the highest faith and the firm, determined faith, right? Now, when such a soul, what does he do? What is the manifestation of such a belief and an advancement in serving the Lord, right? That is what this shloka is describing. So it's describing that always chanting, right? This is the action part. This is how you can make out when someone is a Mahatma. Always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me, these great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So this is what the Mahatma is, and Krishna is describing very clearly who is a Mahatma. So in the purport, Prabhupada very first thing he hammers is that Mahatma cannot be manufactured by rubber stamping somebody, right? This is very prominent in India, where so many people out of sentiments call unworthy people or political people who have actually not even belief in God, forget devotion. They don't even know who is God, or they may be great atheists, but they will be called as Mahatma, right? Very easily people put this title in front of people and they call this is Mahatma and that is Mahatma. So that is why Krishna is very clearly describing, according to his vision, according to his definition, who is a Mahatma. So now, by knowing who is a Mahatma very clearly, correct? Now, what is the benefit that we get, or why we should know? Why is Krishna defining Mahatma? Mahatma is the highest, correct? So is defining who is the highest person recognized by Krishna. Now he's defining all the characteristics, but why is he? How is it relevant to us? Because obviously are we all Mahatmas? No, very far away, right? So why is Krishna telling us about this, or what is the application for us? How do we use this knowledge? Yes, very good. If you know what is the description of perfection, you can try to achieve that, correct? If the description is not given, like for example, if you don't have description of a job, if you just join a company and you're just given a job, and when you go there, there is no description of what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to behave, then you will be lost, correct? Then you may accidentally go and sit in the CEO's chair, or you may take up the sweep, the broom and start brooming, right? Both are jobs. So you should have a clear idea actually what you're supposed to do, or what is the expectation. So that is one thing, that this is what Krishna expects, and this is what is how Krishna sees a Mahatma. That is one thing. The other thing is, how can we become Mahatma? Of course, we are not, but we are trying to become Mahatma. But how do we become a Mahatma? Right? That is the main question. How do we become Mahatma? Very simple. Vasudeva Prabhu told us.
By associating.
Yes, by associating with a Mahatma, correct? So how do you know who is a Mahatma? That is why this description is. So by observing these characteristics in an advanced devotee, by noticing what is their activities, what is their the fruit, right? See, when someone says I am so and so, or someone is worshipped in such a way, for example, there are in India a lot of gurus are there. They are worshipped, right? They have long beards, they have so many followers. But whatever anyone is, or even if you take any devotee within our own community, we can understand what the person is all about by what comes out. Correct? For example, if you take an orange fruit, now orange fruit is full of juice, correct? Now when you squeeze that fruit, you're going to get orange juice, right? But let's say there is another very nice looking object, but inside is all rotten. So when you squeeze that, the rotten things. So you can make out by someone's outward actions, especially in trying situations. That is what Krishna is stressing here. Satatam kirtayanto mam. Satatam means always, not 1 hour in a day in front of television, and the moment program is over, right? People give classes, right? So many pujaris, and these days astrology is so much they keep telling on this, and they are full of malas, and there is vibhuti everywhere, and they look like divine personalities. But after the program, what is their activity? Right? When you actually get a chance to observe that is when you know what is this person all about. Satatam, not temporary, not a flash of bhakti, Like in Vrindavan, it is very prominent, Vrindavan, even in Mayapur, that there are these Sahajiyas, Prabhupada lambasted actually. What do these Sahajiyas do when there is a kirtan? They come, oh, Radhe, 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 and then they fall down. And they, it's out of ecstasy, supposedly. And they cry, wail. But after the kirtan is over, they get up. And then they go back and they smoke something. That's what Prabhupada told in one lecture. I've seen. Because, after crying so much, the throat is very dry, right? So they have to smoke something. So this is not a Mahatma. Satatam means he's always engaged in worshipping the Lord. And it's not just Satatam, Drida Vrataha. Drida Vrataha is another very important that Krishna is mentioning. Because in this material world, to perform devotional service, is it easy? It is not at all easy. In fact, Prabhupada had to struggle so much. We know Prabhupada's life, right? We know only a part of his life actually, despite hearing and reading everything, because everything cannot be described or captured. The inner consciousness and the sacrifices that Prabhupada has made. But still, to whatever extent we could hear, we can see that how much opposition Srila Prabhupada has faced, right? Because this material world naturally is a place that offers resistance to devotional service. And this place actually offers an easy way out to all of us. In any situation, it always tries to convince us, and I am a testimony of this. Actually, I'm the last person who should be giving this class because I am so far away and I am not endeavoring at all. So people like me, we don't endeavor at all, because why? Maya is actually convincing us that don't do it, do it later, or so many impediments, this and that. So that is the natural state of a sadhaka. So we are all sadhakas, right? So for us, we have to struggle even to do a basic thing. But Mahatma actually overcomes all opposition despite even threat to his own life. Srila Prabhupada, right? He could have just after suffering those heart attacks, he had all the reason in the world to tell, I tried, I am not the right person to go there, someone more strong and influential should go, I'll come back. He could have come back and he had his room waiting in Radha Damodar. Imagine, Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. He had a room over there waiting for him, but he left that and he went to the United States of America, which was and is one of the most fallen places, advanced materially, but extremely sinful people. So Srila Prabhupada has shown that what is Dhrida, how these Mahatmas actually overcome all obstacles and always serve the Supreme Lord despite all obstacles and challenges. So now, okay, one more thing. So this chapter is called what? Most confidential knowledge, right? What is so confidential about this? It's in a book only. I can read it, you can read it. What is confidential? What is the second shloka? Rajavidya, Rajaguhyam, right? Rajaguhyam, Pavitram Idam Uttamam, Pratyakshavagaman Dhamyam, Sustam Partam. Wonderful shloka. Actually, whenever you feel down in bhakti, please remember these words, that it is the topmost knowledge, Rajavidya, it is the most confidential. Now, what is this confidential part? You all, at least some of you, I'm sure, attended 9.2, right? 9.2. What is confidential about this? Why is it confidential? Or what is confidential knowledge? Prabhupada has given a very big purport for that shloka because it is so important. Rajavidya, everybody understands, correct? King of all knowledge. What is king of all knowledge? There's a lot of knowledge in this world, YouTube is filled with thousands of videos about knowledge. But among all of them, who is the king? Devotional service. Correct? It sounds so simple actually. How can devotional service be king of knowledge, But devotional service is not just devotional service, it's devotional service to Krishna that makes it Raja Vidya. Because devotion can be towards even dog also. We've seen in our society so many people are devoted to dogs or dog-like people, right? So the direction of our devotion and knowledge of the Supreme Lord is what makes it Raja. Now, Raja Bohya, let me just touch on that. It is confidential because what is the result when you achieve that Raja Vidya and you practice that Raja Vidya? What is the result? Yes, I heard personal association. Of course, our scholar is here, Sanatan Prabhu. That is what is confidential. And that is why it is not so easy also. Because what is it that we are aiming for? It is not a joke. We are being offered by the Supreme Lord his personal association in his personal abode. Eternally. Eternally. That means you can give up this material body, which is source of happiness. Is this material body source of happiness? No. If someone thinks so, then as Abhijit Prabhu said last week, they are bewildered. Right? Because this material body is only a source of suffering. And so are other living entities who are in connection with us, even within our family. Of course, we should do our duty, but never ever think that anyone or anything in this world, especially this body, will give us any kind of happiness. It cannot. In fact, it's designed to give us pain again and again and again, life after life after life. So Krishna is promising that by practicing this devotional service, you can come to me. That is a wonderful aspect of devotional service. For example, this is not even offered to the demigods. See, you should understand the great fortune we have. We are more fortunate than the demigods. In the Swargaloka, they are much more pious, right? But what is the status of the demigods? When there is any calamity in this world, where do the demigods go? You can tell loudly, even if it's wrong. It's okay. Where do the demigods go? Okay, when you have a problem in office, where do your immediate manager, right? So who's the manager of this material world? Brahma, correct? They all go to Brahma. Now, oftentimes Brahma cannot solve it, or out of etiquette, he will take them to the manager will take you to the, if the problem is very big, he will take you to the CEO, right? Similarly, Brahma takes all the demigods, including Lord Shiva, Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, and then all the demigods, where do they go? They're taken to the milk ocean. Where is milk ocean? Where Kshirodakashayi Vishnu is lying down, right? Now, when they go there, now what do they see? Does the Lord come out? He doesn't come out. The demigods don't see anything. They don't even hear his voice. Who hears? Only Brahmaji hears what is the instruction, and that too official instruction. You all do so and so, I will do so and so. That's it. Instruction is given, they all come back. So you can see how the Lord actually is not pleased with such kind of devotion where the purpose is actually to enjoy, right? Not all, but most demigods actually worship the Lord, but their main goal in life is, or rather the environment in Svargaloka is what? To enjoy. So they're only enjoying there actually. So when you're enjoying, who is in the center of your life? You yourself. right? The Lord is not the center of the life. That doesn't please the Lord. So the Lord similarly, because right? So Lord does not reciprocate with such kind of devotion. So Lord even does not come out. For example, if you're inside your house, you can understand this practically. See, this is how we understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by understanding how we are also, because we are coming from the same Lord. Now, let's say we are inside our house, we are enjoying some very playful thing with our house children in the bedroom, right? The children are jumping and we are doing something. Some fun is happening, and then the sweeper of the layout comes and rings the bell. Now you're asked, you're told a sweeper has come. So what do? Do you go? You don't. You just say, ask him what he wants, correct? So then someone will go and they will ask what he wants. Then he will say, hey, I know, I'll give you some money. Then you'll not even go out, correct? You don't feel like going out because why? There is no personal relationship. But if that same person was your best friend who has in the past helped you a lot, or it is your sister or brother who has come from very far away, then as soon as you hear, in fact, before even they come, you prepare by the house. You welcome actually. In fact, you go to the railway station to the seat. That's exactly what Krishna is doing actually, and is offering. That is what is Raja Guhyam. Guhyam means that he reciprocates, he is willing to take you back to his personal abode personally, and you can stay there eternally. That is what is the confidential part. That means you go into the confidential area of the Lord. The most confidential part of this entire existence, creation, is the Supreme Person's abode, personal abode. That is what is being offered. So Krishna is telling how we can become. Now to get this, right, this is good. This is what we want, correct? Now, there is no shortcut to this, right? You have to achieve this. We have to become a Mahatma to achieve this, because isn't this the goal? Why are we doing bhakti otherwise? Are we doing bhakti simply for good health? Okay, maybe somebody is doing, because a lot of Indians, or even we, before we heard Prabhupada's pure unalloyed devotional service message, we were doing bhakti, right? When we were doing bhakti, what was oftentimes our motivation? To get something, correct? To get something, to achieve success in life. And if in fact the success comes without praying, then discard God. Why do you need God? This God is useless. No, it is my will and my power I've achieved this. That's what happens. Like all cricketers, when the player gets out, what do they do? Like this. It's like my power. That is all me consciousness. So when you're in that me consciousness, actually there is no question of love and devotion to the Supreme Lord. It is just you're trying to achieve something. Or even if you take vratas, my wife had a friend. She didn't have a child for a long time. Actually, she had a child. She didn't have a child. So she took up a vrata. What was that vrata? She didn't eat rice for so many weeks, so many months. But rice was very favorite of her. But she gave up that rice. There is no such vrata, by the way. It was just invented. She thought I'll just do this vrata. But when doing such vrata, who is the center in your life? You yourself. It's not, you're not doing it out of love. You're doing it out of your own selfish reason. Right? It may be sometimes good selfishness or bad selfishness or whatever. But nevertheless, it is selfishness. So when we do such kind of vrata, actually, it is not pleasing. First of all, it is not pleasing to the Supreme Lord. And is it pleasing to you also? When you're doing vrata, for example, you're given up rice, or these days you should give up WhatsApp actually, if you really want to achieve something. Or you want to show the Lord you're determined to achieve bhakti, you should give up YouTube. You give up YouTube, you give up WhatsApp, you are an advanced person, very, very advanced person. And then very quickly you become a master. You don't even need 12 years. A Abhijit Prabhu told you need you need what 8 hours devotional service for 20 years. Right? You can turbocharge, reduce it to just some 3-4 years if you give up WhatsApp. I'm telling you. So when we are actually achieving something for our personal gain, even for example, take our own case, even after hearing all this pure devotional service, if we are worshipping the Supreme Lord for liberation, to overcome Janma Mrityu Jaravya, correct? Now that's a good thing. That's not condemned. That is Shastrik. That the goal of life, they say, right? Many times, even Prabhupada says, goal of life is to go back to God, correct? Now that is told, but there is a higher goal actually we should strive for. Going back to Godhead is not supposed to be the primary goal. What should be the primary goal? Or what is the highest goal that we can achieve? Service, correct. Where? Service where? Service to Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is Prabhupada's great mercy and Prabhupada's blessings. We at least came to know to whom we should do. But where should we serve? Is it we have to go back to Godhead only? Or is it okay to serve here? Wherever we are, right? Service should happen wherever we are. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling. Mama Janmani Janmaneshwari Bhagavad Bhaktir Ahitiki. Life after life. He is not telling, after having achieved or giving up, na dhanam, na janam, na sundari. Give up everything. Dhana, jana, sundari. Nothing else is there. Only these 3 things are catching people, right? Attracting them. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is defining that after even giving up all this, he is not even aspiring going back to God. He's telling, Mama Janmani Janmani Shwari, let me be born again and again wherever I am. But I just want, Mama Janmani Janmani Shwari, Bhavata Bhaktir Ahaitukitva. I want that bhakti to you. That love, that loving service, that service which has love, right? That is what attracts actually Krishna to us. And that is what actually gives us the ultimate satisfaction that we are looking for. It is not going back to God that will give us satisfaction. If the goal is just to escape misery, then we can become an impersonalist. And you don't have to go anywhere, just sit in your room and just meditate. And actually, you will get liberation very easily that way. You just become sinless. Control your senses, you'll go back to, you'll get liberation. But that is not satisfying. What is really truly satisfying is that relationship with the Supreme Lord, that reciprocation, because He is an ocean of love and bliss, right? So that reciprocation is what, when we feel, we become very ecstatic and bliss. And when we get that in small ways, when we do service to the Lord, when we love Him, when we do anything out of love, even if it's offering prasadam, even if it is our japa, right? So love, offering anything with love is what actually gives that reciprocation. So we have to be very mindful that we don't become ritualistic. So coming back to this point, the Supreme Lord is telling us how we can become Mahatma, right? So He has defined who is a Mahatma, but how do we become Mahatma? So that is being defined by the Lord in the same chapter in the last shloka. He says, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mamaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaevam atmanam atparayana. And the same mode is echoed again by the Supreme Lord in 18.65, where almost 70% of the shloka is same. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mamaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. So Krishna is telling how you can become a Mahatma, what you need to do. So Mahatma is this. Okay. Mahatma is that that badge of honor that Krishna will give us one day. So this is not to be achieved actually. You cannot achieve it. It is bestowed on us. It is not even bestowed directly by the Supreme Lord. It is bestowed on behalf of the Supreme Lord by who? By the spiritual master and his personal confidential servitors. So that is the route, that is the safest route. So we should never think that the Krishna, Lord Supreme Lord will directly reciprocate. He reciprocates by like this. So when you serve the Lord directly, actually He will make sure you get a spiritual master. You get the proper directions. You get the proper. Basically, you're backed by devotees, because that's what actually enables us to practice. We cannot practice bhakti without spiritual master's guidance and serving his confidential devotees and taking their instructions properly. So what does this shloka says? Engage your mind always in thinking of me, right? Man mana bhava man bhakto. Man mana, right? Engage your mind always thinking of me, right? Become my devotee. Man bhakto. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me. Madhyaji ma namaskuru. Offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me, right? So similarly, the other shloka also talks about the same thing. So despite all the impediments, right, we should endeavor to serve the Lord in all conditions. And who is one of the best examples that we can think of, who despite all obstacles endeavored so much to serve the Supreme Lord? Many examples are there. Prahlad Maharaj, then Srila Prabhupada. Why do we need to go hundreds of years? We've seen Prabhupada do it. We've seen his video. We've seen his. We've heard from his servants how Prabhupada endeavored, right? Dhridavrataha. So when these Mahatmas actually, when they serve the Supreme Lord, there is a big difference how they serve. There's a big difference how we serve. Now, what is the difference? Now, we are sadhakas, correct? We are not Mahatmas. One day we may become a Mahatma. I mean, that is the endeavor. We will not become. It is bestowed by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. But we are only endeavoring, right, in the footsteps of a Mahatma, and that is the spiritual master. So when the spiritual master or pure souls, they serve the Supreme Lord, and we serve the Supreme Lord, is a big difference. The difference is that what do we do when we serve the Lord? Do we do anything extra? We just do the bare minimum, correct? 16 rounds, Hare Krishna Mantra, 16 rounds only. Now after that 16th, that 1728th chanting, we just leave it. Finished. Oh. No, and then after that there's a satisfaction. And no more. What is satisfaction? I don't have to see the beads till tomorrow. This is our situation. But what is the situation with the pure devotee? With pure devotee, actually, the 16th round is actually the beginning. They continue to chant, whether externally or internally. That's what it says, right? In one Leela in Mahabharata, Arjuna, there's a Leela where who was told to go in here? Arjuna was sleeping, and in the sleep he was chanting Krishna's name. So this is the symptom of a pure devotee, that no matter what obstacles, they actually do their maximum. In fact, they don't even mind giving up their life. That's what Prabhupada did, correct? So let's see one few examples from Prabhupada's life itself, how he has shown this example of how to serve the Lord with Dhridavrata, with firm determination, no matter what the obstacles are. So this pastime, I think some of you might have heard about this. So this was in Vrindavan, So they were building the Krishna Balaram temple. And the Krishna Balaram temple was inaugurated in 1970. Anyone knows? 75. Okay. And but building this temple was a great challenge. It was extremely difficult to build in Vrindavan in 1975. I mean, it started earlier. In 72 only they started the temple construction. And in 75 it was completed. But it was extremely difficult, primarily because there were many, and who was building that temple? It was all his Western followers, especially Guru Das Prabhu and Yamuna Mataji. They were actually given the sole responsibility of bringing up this magnificent temple in Vrindavan. Now imagine, Vrindavan is such an important place for Prabhupada. He spent 6 years in Radha Damodar temple, and he wanted the whole world to come to Vrindavan. That was the extremely highly significant place for Prabhupada, that everyone from all over the world come and have an experience of Vrindavan. So that was a very, very highly high priority for Prabhupada to build a magnificent temple. And this was given to these great souls, Gurudas and Yamuna Mataji, and of course other devotees. There are many devotees, and they were all, but being Westerners, now at that time, in fact, even now, Vrindavan is not a place where you can deal with locals very easily. Not everyone, but there is a lot of cheating propensity there, and dealing with them is very difficult. And what to speak of the red tape, the government, right? If you want to go for sanctions and paperwork, it is so difficult. Even now, it is difficult even though we are Indians. Imagine at that time for these foreigners how they were trying to cheat them and play around with them. So the construction was really struggling, and then somehow the inauguration was coming up. The time came actually, and by that time all the invitation had been sent, and but they were not able to finish the temple. There was so much work left, and Prabhupada was he was doing the preaching everywhere. So Prabhupada was asking, what is the status? What is the status? So they were telling, it will get ready, Prabhupada. It will get ready. We'll make it. And then finally, Prabhupada came actually for an hour, and he saw nothing was ready. There were so many things pending, and Prabhupada became very upset, and he wanted to. He just didn't. He was not at all pleased. Of course, that was because his service to the Lord was obstructed. That is the reason why a pure devotee becomes upset, not for his personal gains. And at the same time, what happened? Prabhupada became very sick. He got malaria, and then he had a very high fever of 104, and he had dysentery also. So he could not eat anything, and he became bedridden. And this went on for 2 weeks. And every day, he could not eat anything. What would he eat? He would only eat 3 slices of an orange. That's it. That was his food. And in between, Prabhupada also told, this is how my Guru Maharaj left. He stopped eating, he became sick, and he left. So devotees were so shocked, like, what do we do? And they were doing kirtan. They didn't know what to expect. Prabhupada is so weak and he's about to leave. Like that they were thinking. But Prabhupada was only meditating on even in this condition, he was thinking of the temple opening. How do we make it happen? How do we make it happen? That's all his meditation was. And incidentally, at that time, Prabhupada had a friend in Vrindavan. His name is Seth Bishan Chand. So Seth Bishan Chand told Prabhupada, the governor of UP is coming to Vrindavan very shortly. His name was Akbar Ali Khan. So Akbar Ali Khan is coming. If you want, I know him. I can make you meet him. And if the governor gives permission, then all this, because they were not even getting cement at that time. They could not even release cement because of the India-Pakistan war and all that. It was like a ration. It was like buying a forbidden thing. You needed permission and all. So, and there were so many other paperwork to be done and all that. So Prabhupada said, yes, bring him to the temple. We will meet him. Now, at this time, what is the Prabhupada's health? He is not eating anything. He's having dysentery, right? If we don't eat for 1 day and we are having loose motions, we can't even get up. Right? We can't even talk. What to speak of taking the movement forward that Prabhupada is talking. So finally, Akbar Ali Khan came to the temple. Now, when he came to the temple, what did Prabhupada do? He got up. He got up. Personally, he went. In that state, he received Akbar Ali Khan. Like, as if everything is normal. And then there was a big red carpet welcome. And then there was a dais. And then he spoke. He spoke about, governor spoke about how civilization should progress and industrialization, all that material things he spoke. After him, he sat down. Then Prabhupada went to the mic. He spoke for half an hour. No, he spoke about the significance of Krishna consciousness. And then after that, there was a big feast organized for the governor and all his entourage. There were so many people with him. So they all had a big feast. Prabhupada was personally there with the governor, and just to please him, because he had no appetite. In fact, he could not tolerate food because you get vomit. But that day, because the temple opening was so important for Prabhupada, he actually ate. He ate like a normal person. And then, after the feast and everything, they had some discussion, and then Akbar Ali Khan left. Prabhupada went, saw him off, and as soon as he went, Prabhupada collapsed. Right there on the spot, Prabhupada collapsed. And then his fever actually increased because he had eaten something. You're not supposed to eat like this. So this, of course, but the meeting was fruitful and the temple opening. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is just one drop from the life of Srila Prabhupada as to what it means, to have that firm determination and follow in the footsteps of your spiritual master and please the Supreme Lord in every situation, in all situations. So this is very instructive to us as to how we should conduct our own life, our own devotional service. And so we should be serious, at least, we are not expected to do such superhuman things, but let us be serious with what is told to us to do, right? So what do we have to do? Dhrida Vrataha, what is Dhrida Vrata? Firm, determined vow, right? It's an austerity vow. Vrata is a vow. So we also have to take a vow to progress in bhakti, correct? Now that is what is the expectation from us. Actually, it's very simple. That's what the shloka says in the end, that not only is devotional service easy, but it is performed in a happy mode. Right? Now, to achieve that happy mode is very important. Otherwise, we will be suffering. So I told you already, when we do vrata, we will be morose if we do what? If we do what? Or if we don't do what? Sorry? Whimsically on our own. And if we're not doing it to please the Lord. If I am the center, then the vrata becomes painful. If I'm fasting on Ekadashi because I want to lose 20 kgs, it's going to be very painful Ekadashi. Because why? I am in the center. It's a selfishness, right? Or even if we are doing bhakti to go back to Godhead because I hate my family or my family hates me. These are again, we're taking Krishna out of the center and we're putting ourselves in the center. Then that kind of vrata or devotional service becomes very painful. But if we put the Supreme Lord or his representatives, compilation representative, spiritual master in the center, and we do something to please him, then we get the reciprocation, we feel that love. Then even that extremely difficult task becomes easy and in one sense enjoyable. Correct? I'm sure all parents will appreciate this. Now, is having a child easy? Why do we have child? Is it easy or difficult? It's very, very, very difficult. Having a child is difficult. Doubly difficult is bringing up the child. Correct? But still people do it. Prabhupada says that mother, says after childbirth, I'll never ever give birth. But after some time, she says, I want the second one. Then third one, fourth one. Of course, these days we can't afford. But earlier people used to have, right? Why did they have second, third, fourth? Like my grandmother had 13 children. Why did they do that? Because despite the difficulty, there is a satisfaction, there is a happiness. Because when you serve that child, when you serve that, of course, that is, if you take just the normal consciousness, people see children as their own extension, correct? My body part. That's subconsciously that is the idea. That it's my continuation, and then of course we love. But that service actually gives the strength to go through the pain. So similarly, if we put Krishna in the center, whatever the pain may be, even getting up, for example, simple things, getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning or even 5, it's a pain. Now, you can't do this day in and day out if Krishna is not in the center. One day will become very, very frustrated. But if the Supreme Lord is in the center, or our Gurudev, actually, ideally, Gurudev, who should be in the center, is Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, that if we please the spiritual master and he is pleased, then all the benedictions of the Supreme Lord flows like Ganges water in our own life, and then we get that supreme ecstasy. We feel that love, we feel that reciprocation, we feel that taste in bhakti. That taste is what is important. So we should be very mindful. We don't do anything ritualistically. That means I'm just doing it because I've been told to do it. Of course, initially you can't help it, but eventually we have to graduate. In bhakti is always you have to keep going forward. You can't just stay in one place. If you're staying in one place in bhakti, that means you're going. Because why? The current of this material world is going away from the Lord, correct? So now we are in that current, in the material energy, correct? So when we have to go towards the Supreme Lord, we have to endeavor. We can't just stay where we are. If you're staying where we are, that means we are going. We have to endeavor, put extreme effort to go forward against the current. So when we do that, it becomes happy. The vrata, the Ekadashi vrata becomes happy. Getting up early in the morning becomes happy. And actually, getting up early in the morning is very wonderful. Even there's a book called 5 a.m. Club, where the glories of getting up at 5 a.m. and how all the successful people in this world get up early in the morning, because there is a special energy to that time. So that is glorified. So when you actually do it, you become very happy. As opposed to like someone getting up at 10 o'clock. Now it may apparently look like he's enjoying. He can sleep till 10 o'clock. He has the luxury. But you just ask the person, are you happy? He will be the most miserable, because why? Sleeping till 10 o'clock means what? What mode are you in? What mode of material nature? Tamasic, right? A tamasic person can never be happy. So we should perform all devotional service with the aim to please our seniors, our spiritual master, and ultimately Krishna. And so when we do that, actually, it becomes very easy. Susukam kartam abhiyam. And very importantly, this is great mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We can do this in Bangalore, in your own house, right? In your own private bedroom. That is the great benediction. You don't have to give up your family. You don't have to give up your child. You don't have to give up your anything, actually. You can use everything. But at the same time, we should be careful. We should not be attached to any of this. We can use whatever facility we have, whether it's phone or money or car or house or even family. We should use that so that we can progress. We should show all our love to our family, but without attachment. Without attachment. Because if we are attached, then we'll come back to this material world. So we should be materially detached but spiritually very attached. You see the difference? Even with our family or home, we should be materially detached but spiritually attached. What it means, materially detached, everyone understands, right? Because they have no buddhi, that is one of the bewilderment that happens. We think I and mine. Everyone is thinking I and mine. Even the big things I and mine. But we are not supposed to be the big consciousness. We should be at the high level of spiritual consciousness, where we know actually what is ours. I and mine. Nothing is ours. But spiritually attached means what? To see the connection of anything in your life with the Supreme Lord. Right? So with that consciousness, we can practice devotional service and happily progress towards the Supreme Lord. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Vasudeva, for giving a wonderful class on Bhagavad Gita. And you nicely decided who is a real Mahatma and how we should become a Mahatma. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Let's thank Vasudeva Prabhu. He was lovely chanting. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. So today there's no sponsors program, so we encourage devotees who wanted to sponsor, they can actually sponsor. And festival days, we have festival days this week, but next week there is Bhagavad Gita, January 13th. Okay, so we encourage, we request devotees collect books and distribute books. For Bhagavad Gita, you can plan in some temples. We have a lot of temples nearby, Krishna temples. We can all plan. We request all the devotees to collect as many books as possible and distribute on the day. And also there is Mayapur Yatra, as we have announced in the previous weeks. The Mayapur Yatra is from April 30th to 23rd. So please try to put as early as possible. There's not much time. So you can contact Sri Prabhu if you want to, enroll register for the Yatra. And that's all for the announcements today. Anybody have come for the first time for our center? Anybody have come for the first time today? Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you stand up and introduce yourself, your name, and where are you coming from? Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Oh, good. Hare Krishna. Thanks, Prabhu. Thanks for coming. Hare Krishna. What is your name? Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Hare Krishna. Oh, yes, thanks, Madhu. So let's all chant one time Hare Krishna for all of these devotees who have come for the first time, so that we can progress in their spiritual life. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we have a lot of programs. So you can contact with Prabhu or myself. We have a lot of programs, actually both offline and online, for our Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Gita and Bhakti Viksha, a lot of programs. You can contact us for enrolling in those programs. So we will have much fun. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Gauranga Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thanks, Prabhu, for the wonderful session. Yeah, you can show us the details.
Prabhu, we can end the call, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees will be meeting again on next Sunday at the same time at 4:30 for the next Bhagavad Gita Sloka 9.15. Hare Krishna devotees.
Hare Krishna.